Jane Goodall went to the Gombe National Park in Tanzania when she was 26 years old to study chimpanzees in the wild. She was set to be there for 6 months in 1960, but for the first 3 months she didn't see much of them at all. She'd only just seen them through binoculars from afar or seen a chimp butt running away. But eventually, one of them that she had named David Greybeard warmed up to her a little bit. 5 months after getting to the Gombe, she witnessed David Greybeard using grass stalks to fish termites out of a mound. Later, she saw him and another chimp, Goliath, stripping leaves off twigs to make termite fishing tools. No one in non-Western science had seen a non-human making tools before, and it was considered a defining characteristic of what it meant to be human. And that was a turning point because that's what led her mentor, Louis Leakey, to go to the National Geographic Society, who decided to continue funding her research past 6 months. So they sent out a photographer and put her on the cover of National Geographic, and she was the subject of a documentary that was narrated by Orson Welles. Before that, the academic world hadn't been taking her seriously. She wasn't college educated at the time, and it was unheard of for researchers to name the animals they were studying. Instead, they would number them and hold themselves to a strict level of detachment with their subjects. In 1993, she wrote, "I was ascribing human characteristics to non-human animals and was thus guilty of the worst of ethological sins, anthropomorphism." And she'd observed behaviors like hugging, kissing, pats on the back, and even tickling, all of which people considered solely human actions. But they were forced to respect her work when they saw what she saw. By the time she finally went to college, she had already made 2 important chimpanzee behavioral discoveries in the Gombe National Park in Tanzania. The first was that they're omnivorous and eat meat. Chimpanzees were thought to be strict vegetarians, but Jane witnessed them hunting and eating colobus monkeys, bush pigs, and other small animals. She saw a troop of chimps isolate a colobus monkey in a tree and block all possible exits. Then one of them went up and literally ripped it apart and shared those parts with begging members of the troop. And the second one was how she seen him making termite fishing tools. So in 1962, she went to Cambridge to get a PhD. She was only the 8th person to be allowed to study to get a PhD there without having first obtained a bachelor's degree. Then in the 70s, she went and witnessed a war between chimpanzees, now called the 4 Years' War. The community she'd been watching since 1960, called the Kasekela community, was splintering. 6 adult males and 3 adult females went off to form their own community, which the researchers called the Kahama community. Over the next 4 years, the Kasekela males diligently hunted and killed all of the Kahama males. It was the first time that scientists had observed sustained warfare among non-human primates, and she was taken aback. But now she was watching them deliberately attack and leave rival chimpanzees for dead. And this is kind of a crazy account if you want to pause it. Then in the late 70s, early 80s, after documenting the war, she dove headfirst into activism. Then in 1977, the Jane Goodall Institute was founded to help improve the treatment and understanding of non-human primates. And it now has offices in more than 25 countries around the world. And its global youth program, Roots and Shoots, has over 10,000 groups in over 100 countries. When Jane Goodall entered the field of primatology, it was almost exclusively a man's game. But today, likely in no small part due to her influence and activism, about half of primatologists are women.